Hi everyone, in this video I will be showing you how to implement auto increment of ID in MongoDB using Node.js. So let's get started. So I guess there isn't any direct way to auto increment. Like here you can see MongoDB does not have an inbuilt auto increment functionality. So we need to create our own sequence function to do this operation, okay? So I'll be showing you how you can do this. So first let me explain you what I am going to do, okay? So I will just go to my whiteboard and so first let's consider our main table or collection, okay? So let this be our main table. Let it have some ID and let it have some value like names, etc. So this is the table that we want to have auto ID, okay? Auto incremented ID. And let's suppose say that this table has some 5 rows, okay? Let it have like 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 rows or documents, like whatever you can call. So the most commonly used method is like having a count of the number of rows. So let's suppose say that we want to include a 6th row or a 6th document into this particular collection. What we will do is we will be basically like counting the total number of IDs. So here we are having 5 IDs, and in order to insert a 6th row, we will just have the count of all the existing IDs, okay, which is 5 in our case, and we will just add it with 1 and we will just assign it to the 6th ID, okay. This is also like quite similar to auto increment, but this method has a major flaw, okay. So we will add it over here as 6, and next for the 7th row or the 7th document, we will again get the count of the total number of IDs or any other column. So that is also going to be 6, and we will just assign it to the 7th ID. So that will be 7. But the major drawback with this method is that, let's suppose say that I am deleting the second ID, okay. So now second ID is not there in my table. So what will happen is that I want to insert a 8th ID or a 8th document, okay, document inside it. So 8th document means row, okay, basically. So I want to insert the 8th row into it. Here, if I take the count now, I will be having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll be having 6 rows now. So for the 8th ID, what we will do, we will just add 1 and assign it to our 8th or new ID. So 6 plus 1, our 8th ID will have ID as 7. So it will be like this 7. So there will be duplicate values occurring over here. And in case if you delete like 2 values, let's suppose say that I'm not having this 7 and I delete 3 also. So in this case 1, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So which is like count is 5, and for the new ID we will be having 5 plus 1, which is 6. So that is also a duplicate. So this is like a major drawback, and this method applies or works well if you don't have any delete operation. So in case if you're having only insert operation and you want auto ID, you can just follow this method. But if you have some delete operations, this method is not at all suitable because you will be having duplicate IDs and that will be like a major error. So now let me show you what I am going to do in this method, okay. I will just clear this. Yeah. So here we are having our main table, okay. Let it have a ID and all those values, like every values. And here I will be having another table, which is the counter table basically. So I will be having this counter table over here. So with the help of this table, I will make sure that this ID in our main table is auto incremented, okay. So this counter table will have only one row document. So basically it will have a ID and it will have a sequence value. It will have a sequence value. That's it. Only one row basically. So this ID, it can be like anything, you can name whatever you want, it can be a number or string, that doesn't matter. But this sequence or value will have the count of our number of IDs that are getting inserted or the number of documents that are getting inserted in our main table. So if one document is inserted over here, this sequence of value will be updated by 1. So if a data is getting posted inside this main table, the value of this sequence value will also get incremented. Let's suppose say that this main table is created and the first value is getting posted into this main table. So that time the sequence value will be 1, and during the next post operation, the sequence value will be 2, and next post operation sequence value will be 3. So by this way, if there are like 3 rows or 3 documents over here, the sequence value will be equal to 3 as well. The number of rows here will be equal to the sequence value number. So the great thing about this method is that, let's suppose say that I am deleting 1 over here. I am deleting the document with ID 1, deleting the row with ID 1. So even if I delete this, the sequence value will remain 3 itself. So in case I want to insert a 4th document, 4th ID will be, I'll take this 3 value from here, I will update it with 1. So that will be equal to 4, and the 4th ID will be 4. By this way, there won't be any duplicates. Okay, that's the major advantage of this method. So this works well even if you have only post operation or both post and delete operation. So really simple, we will be having another table counter, and from that we will be accessing the sequential value, and we will give that to our ID as an auto increment. So I hope that made sense. So now let's just go and code. Okay, like too many explanation in whiteboard. So at first here I am having like a really normal connection. Okay, so I'll just go through it like a glance. If you want, you can just pause and type it out. So here I'm having just the header files express and mongoose, and this is my connection to my local mongoose, and this is my schema for my main table, and this is the model name. So I will just implement the post operation over here, and I will also tell you how to implement the auto increment along with post. Okay, both I will show you. So now let's come to the next line. So it's going to be app corresponds to this one. Okay, app dot post, and you need to specify the path. I will just go with slash post comma, and it will have a callback function. It's going to be request and response. Just put an arrow function over here, and in the next line we will be using this mon model to post our data. Okay, so just come over here. It's going to be const data equal to new our model name, which is mon model. In my case, this thing over here, mon model, and this is the name of my schema. Okay, I'm just giving the schema name to my model. Okay, I think that's standard way. And just open circular bracket and a curly bracket, and inside this we will be just assigning the values. So I will just copy this one and paste it. So for name, it's going to be request.body.name. Okay, same thing, request.body.name, and let me just copy this, paste it. I will just put email, and instead of this I will just put ID. So at first, while doing normal post operation, I will have from the body. So request.body means that we will be sending the data from our postman body as JSON. Okay, so at first I will have this as a normal way, and later I will change it to the auto incremented form. So once you are done with this, in the next line what we can do is we will be just saving it. It's like that simple. So it's going to be data, this name over here, data dot save. Okay, and after this save you can have like this response dot send, and you can just have posted like that. So I think now we are good to run and check. This is like a normal post operation, so it's on port 3000. Okay, so for running this, just go to that location where you have this project and just type node your file name, which is in my case main.js, and just hit enter. So it's on port 3000. So now we need to go to this path in postman. So I'll just go to postman, and here you can see it's localhost / post. So this part should be same, and you need to come inside body raw, and you need to select JSON format, and you need to be inside post. Like these are some of the really important things. So after selecting these particular options, you need to just type your name, email, and ID. So this directly corresponds to the schema or the details that I'm having over here. So that should be given over here. So once you are done, if I just send it now, I'll be getting posted. And if I just now go to my MongoDB compass and go to this particular database, okay, so my database name is AutoIncDB. So this one, where's that? Yeah, so this one AutoIncDB, and my collection or table name is new call. So I need to go over here into new calls, and here you can see I'm already having that particular value inserted. So 123 was the ID which I passed over here. So this is fantastic. This is just a normal operation. So now let's go and implement the auto increment. Okay, so as I told you earlier, we need another table, okay, table or a collection to increment that. So first let me declare that thing. Okay, so I will just come over here. It's going to be the counter table or a collection, and this table is also going to be inside this database itself, so the accessing won't be an issue. So for this same thing, we need to have a schema for this. So it's going to be const, let the schema name be counter schema equal to, and as I told you earlier, it will have only 2 columns, okay, or values. It's going to be ID, and let it be of the type string, okay, because it's just a value, it's of no use for us, string. And another one is going to be really important thing, the sequence, okay, sequence or the auto incremented ID. Let me name it as sequence, SEQ, okay, and This one is going to be of the type number, okay, because id is going to be of type integer. So type number. So once we have done with the schema, next we need to go and create a model. So I will just copy this, okay, just copy this and paste it over here. So instead of having mon model, let me name it as counter model, like that, and let the name of my table be counter and the schema name is counter schema. So let me just remove this and name it as counter schema. Okay, that's it. Now we are done with our schema and our model. So as I told you earlier, we need to update or increment the sequence value every time a post operation or a new data is posted inside our main table. So the sequence function should come inside this post, okay, post path. So just create some space over here, and here we will be performing simple update and increment operation basically, because here you can see, right, at first value will be 1. You need to update this existing value and save it. Update and save, that's the thing we are going to do over here for this counter table, okay. So for that we will be using the find one and update, okay. So first thing, just come over here and just use counter, your model name, counter model, okay, and dot find one then update, okay. Find, there will be many things you need to go for. Find one and update, it's here, and you need to give the id, okay. I'll just open it, curly bracket, and inside this I will pass a lot of values, so I will just type it out at once and later I will explain. So first one is the id. So our id is string. Let me just have id as auto val, and next one is going to be our increment function for our sequence number, okay. For this one our id is just a static one. This one is only going to get incremented based upon the id. So for that, just put a comma over here, and it's going to be curly bracket, double quotes, dollar, inc, come out of the double quotes, colon, and again curly bracket, and here you need to specify the second column name, which is seq, okay, second key name basically. So inside double quotes seq, just come out colon 1. So this is the simplest code to like increment a particular value, okay. And next thing is going to be comma, again open curly bracket, new colon true, okay. So this one is basically to return the updated value, okay, after the callback function. So next thing, just put a comma, and this is our callback function, okay. It's going to be error comma cd counter data. You can name it whatever you want. I will name it as cd, and it's going to be a arrow function over here. We are having a error over here, expected comma. So I think this curly bracket won't come. Yeah, so I will just remove this curly bracket. Yeah, I think now the error should go. Yeah, so here you can see the error has gone. So this is like a really important thing. So let me just quickly explain you. We are just searching for this particular id in our table, and since we are having only one row, okay, only one value inside our counter table, based upon this id we will just increment this sequence value. So this one is that id that we are passing. This is of type string. You can even have it as number. I have given it as string. So searching this id, we will just increment the sequence value. Really simple, I guess. And this is that statement for incrementing, like it just basically increments and updates this thing. So this is new true because we need to have the cd basically returns the updated data. So in that case we will be having the updated id, and we can just basically assign it to id of the main table. So now the issue is that at first our counter table will be empty because we won't be having these values, okay. So for that, what will happen is that our cd will be null. So when our cd is null, which means that there isn't any values present inside our counter table, we need to just insert a value. Insert this basically this id and this value over here. So this id will be a string. This id basically will be auto val, and the sequence will be 1 initially. So basically we will be inserting auto val and 1 over here. So this is when the first time we are posting some data in our main table. At first this counter table will be basically 0. So for that, what we will do is we will have a if condition over here, okay. So it's going to be if our cd, that is this return data, this updated data. So we will be getting cd as null at the first time when there isn't any data inside our counter table, okay. So because we can't update a table which does not have any value, so it will be null at that case. So cd equal to null, and just open curly bracket, and in that case we will be inserting values. So for this I will create an object, okay, quite similar to this one. So it's going to be const, I'll just name it as new val something like that, equal to new your model name, okay, which is counter model. So it's going to be counter model, and just open circular bracket and curly bracket, and inside this you need to specify the value that you are going to insert at first. So in my case id, I'm going to insert id, and we can just directly specify the value over here. So my id is going to be autoval because this is the only one row or document, okay. So I'll just copy this and paste it, and I will just have the value as sequence as 1, okay, 1. So autoval, and the reason sequence should be 1 because this statement will be getting executed at the first time when we post any data to the main table. So at that case our id should begin with 1, okay. So that's the reason why I am adding 1 to sequence. Just come to the next line. So it's going to be new val dot save, okay. So now we have done too many things, okay. Basically I will just run and show you like what I'm going to do. So I will just save it, okay. I think we are good to run. So this won't work now because there's still a lot more to do, okay. So I'll just check whether it's working fine. I will just pause it, Control C to stop this one, and in node main.js to run. So it's on port 3000, and this code will be getting executed only when we post data because it's inside app.post. I'll just go to my postman and just send the same data, okay. So I'm getting posted, and if I just now go to my MongoDB compass, and if I refresh this, I'll be having another table as counters, and if I just click it, here you can see I'm having this auto val and 1 getting added over here. So the reason is because the cd was null, this function got executed and it found out that cd, this value being returned, is null. Because of that it has inserted a document with value id auto val and sequence as 1, and that's the reason it's appearing over here. So now I will show you how we can extract this sequence value, basically this value, and assign it to our main id over here, okay. So for that, first let me show you a demo of what this cd contains, okay, basically. So for that, let me just come here and let me just console.log counter value, and let me just put a comma and cd over here. So let it be a console. I'll just make it center, saving it, and again go to your terminal and restart it again. And here you can see at first my sequence is 1 because that's the first time we have done it, and but this time if we again post some data, this function won't be getting executed because cd is not null and it has some value over here. So if I just now go and send it, I'm getting posted, and if I just now come now and refresh it, here you can see value is getting changed as 2, and every time I post data I'm just sending it and refreshing it, and if I just send it twice, 1 2, and I will come here and refresh this particular table, I'll be getting 5. So you need to be careful. Counter table is for counting and new calls. This table is for the main table, okay. Here you can see so many data are getting posted over here. So this counter is basically having a good keep of count, okay, basically. And if I just now come to the console, yeah, so here you can see for every post our data is getting added over here. So this is basically the updated value, okay. So that's the reason why we need to have new true. If you don't have new true over here, you won't be getting the updated value as cd. We will be getting the value before updation over here. That's not needed. So we need to have new true over here. So we only want this sequence, okay. Basically we don't want any of these things. We just want this sequence, and we want that sequence to be getting assigned to our id over here. So for that, what we will do is, let me just stop this now, okay. So we will have a variable over here. So I will just remove this. I'll just have a variable as let sequence id over here, and let me just assign it to that, okay. So initially when the table is getting created, as I told you, the sequence should be 1. So it's going to be sequence id will be also equal to 1, okay. That's the thing. And in case we have already value inside this particular counters table, in that case we won't be going inside this if block itself. In that case so this sequence id is just a temporary variable to hold the value of the sequence, okay. So it's going to be sequence id equal to cd dot sequence. So this cd dot sequence directly corresponds to this value, okay, this sequence value. And here you can see when I am printing CD, I am getting this console over here. I want only this, so that's the reason I am assigning cd.sequence. So now with the help of this code, our auto incremented value, that is this sequence counter value, will be stored in this sequence ID. So now the only important thing left is that this sequence ID should be assigned to this ID. Okay, so for this you need to just copy this code. Okay, you have to just cut it and paste it inside this particular callback function. So just come outside of the if else block and just paste it, and instead of request.body.id, I will just remove this and I will put sequence ID over here. So this sequence ID should come over here. So that's the thing we have now done, I guess. So I will just come up a bit, and once I have run this and show you a demo, I will just explain it from first again. Okay, I know it's like a little bit confusing, so I will just explain it again for you after running it and checking it. So I think now we are done. So this is the thing. I will just now save it and try running it again, and I will just come over here. I will delete everything. Basically I will delete all the values, delete this one, and I will go over here and delete. Okay, I will just delete. Yeah, so here you can see this is my main table, new calls, nothing is there, and this is my counter table, nothing is there. So I'm going to run this program from scratch. So same thing, node main.js, I'm running it, and now we need to go to Postman. And another most important thing is that we no need to specify the ID over here. The reason is because our ID is automatically provided by this counter function, and that's the reason why we have coded this much. So why should we specify the ID? Okay, this is the ID is taken care, and we need to only give the name and email. So that's basically auto increment. So now if I just remove this comma as well, I will just specify some meaningful name, ABC. Okay, and it will be something. So if I just now send it, yeah, I'm getting posted, and I guess I'm not getting any errors. So I'm not getting any errors over here. So if I just now go to my MongoDB compass, and this is my counters table, if I just now refresh it, I'm having auto val and sequence as 1. And if I just now go to my new calls main table, and here you can see I'm having the ID as 1. So this ID is automatically generated or incremented by our sequence ID by our counter table. So now let me just again go and post some more data, because we need to verify for like 3 to more things. I will just change it to AB now and send it again. So this is the second time I'm posting, so ID should be 2 now. So I'm just going to my MongoDB compass and I am refreshing it. So here you can see this is the second data I posted, AB, ID is 2, and if I just now go to my counters, sequence of this is changed as 2. So now let me just final thing, I will just go with, instead of AB I will just go with Q, and let everything be Q over here. And if I just now send it, ID should be 3. Yeah, ID is 3 over here. And if I delete something, so let's suppose that I'm deleting this ID 2. Okay, I have deleted it, and I'm again going to my Postman and sending the same data basically. But this is the 4th time I'm doing, so ID should be 4. I'm sending the same data, ID should be 4, sending it. And if I just refresh it, I'm getting the ID as 4. So there isn't any duplicates even if we delete the value. And if I go to my counters table, yeah, sequence of ID is 4. So finally, this is how you implement auto increment in MongoDB using Node.js. I know it has been like a long video, so I will just explain it for last time. Okay, it's really hard to explain this as well. Yeah, so this is my update function for the counter table, okay, or the secondary table that I am using, and I am just incrementing this sequence number with the help of this ID. So we have only one ID, only one sequence, only one value in that particular table or a collection. So that's, I'm just updating basically. So after updating, that value will be collected by this CD. So I consoled and logged and show you CD. So we are making use of that CD value. So I am checking CD is null because initially there won't be any value in our counter table. So I'm checking the null. So if it is null, I am just incrementing a value inside it, a row or a document inside it, and I'm just assigning the ID as 1. The reason is because since there is no value, our ID should be 1 at first. So really important this line as well. So once we have done inserting some values inside our counter table, so CD is not going to be null. So from that we will be extracting the sequence number. So basically after that we will be getting the sequence number, and that's the thing that I'm going doing here. So for every updation I will be extracting this sequence number. So that's it, cd.sequence. I'm just storing inside it, and then I am just assigning to the id of my main table, then I am saving it. So this entire code should be coming inside this find one and update, then only it will work. So you can just have this send response or send anywhere, that's not going to be an issue. So this is basically how I did it. It worked fine, and it works fine. I have showed you a live proof. So if you know any other better way of doing this, I think it's like quite a hard way. If you know, please comment it down. And I hope you would have found this video useful. And I've done many other programming videos in Node.js, React.js, CRUD, post, put, get and delete data. So you can also check them. Also in C, C++, Java, Python, 3D animation using Blender. So do check them. Subscribe me. Thanks for watching.